in 2017, the Nigerian government continued to push forward its foreign policy, mainly targeted at drawing support from the international community in addressing the country's domestic challenges. In this next report, our correspondent Pt.3 takes a look at the highs and the lows of Nigeria's foreign relations in 2017.
The xenophobic attacks against Nigerians in South Africa, migrants dying in the Mediterranean, and the slave trade going on in Libya. These are some of the issues that affected Nigeria on the international scene in 2017. Nigerians living in South Africa came under attack by local vigilantes in the month of February. Many suffered the destruction of their homes and businesses, and some lost their lives. Reports of these attacks attracted condemnation from the Nigerian government, with the National Assembly demanding answers from the South African authorities.
We intend to engage the South African Parliament and other authorities on areas of mutual benefit and how much both countries could lose from xenophobia and possible retaliatory actions or severing of diplomatic ties.
Not deterred by this threat, South Africans held an anti-foreigner march. The South African ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Lulu Nguni, however, offered more sympathy and reassurance to Nigerians.
As government, we are trying to follow up on this and, of course, to arrest some of the people involved.
Meanwhile, a report by cable news network CNN in November on the slave market in Libya sent shockwaves through sub-Saharan Africa and around the world. The report showed footage of what it said was an auction of men offered to Libyan buyers as farmhands and sold for $400, a chilling echo of the trans-Saharan slave trade of centuries past. With the help of the International Organization for Migration, thousands of Nigerian migrants were flown back home from Libya.
Libya, no! Italy, no! Germany, no! France, no! Nigeria, no!
And they took us from one prison to another prison, to another prison. They use us for business in Libya. They kill some people, they sell some people, they beat some people. Even the deportation camp where I am, if we want to eat, they use skin to beat us out. Finish eating, they use skin to beat us in.
Amidst all this, there were reports of 26 Nigerian women dying in the Mediterranean and buried in Italy. It was later discovered that this report was not completely true.
When I finally arrived in Italy, I was informed by the Italian officials that out of the 26 dead women, only 3 were identified as Nigerians. Later, information got to me that only 2 of the women were Nigerians.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom for Nigeria on the foreign scene. In September 2017, President Muhammadu Buhari joined other world leaders at the UN headquarters in New York to discuss global issues. The president made a strong call for international cooperation despite conflicts and boasted about Nigeria's unshaken democracy.
Our faith in democracy remains firm and unshaken. Through our individual national efforts, state institutions are being strengthened to promote accountability and to combat corruption and asset recovery.
The president also hinted the international community on the best way to deal with the nuclear aggression from North Korea.
Mr. President, Nigeria proposes a strong United Nations delegation to urgently engage the North Korean leader.
So how much progress did Nigeria's foreign policy record in 2017?
Nigeria has not been very strong in its foreign policy, as it used to be during the apartheid South African time period. Basically, if you ask many people about our direction in foreign policy, they will tell you they don't know.
As the year 2017 comes to an end and the year 2018 rolls in, Nigerians will be pleased to see the giant of Africa become more vibrant, dynamic and purposeful in its foreign policy. Pt.3, Channels Television News.
To further examine Nigeria's foreign policy in 2017, I'm now being joined by the former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Professor Bola Akinteriwa. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you.
Now, several diplomatic issues hogged the headlines in 2017, from the xenophobic attacks in South Africa to the slave trade in Libya, and also the issue of migrant crisis. Do you think the Nigerian government responded to this appropriately?
That's a very difficult question. Do I think there had been an appropriate response? I would say yes and no, depending on the issue we are considering. If we do consider, for instance, the question of xenophobic attacks, I would say we have not responded very well. Why? The answer cannot be far-fetched. It is simply because the policymakers in Nigeria have not made adequate efforts to understand the attitudinal disposition of South Africans generally. You see, when this issue was first raised, the South Africans believe, and strongly too, that Nigeria had not done any big deal when we are talking about anti-apartheid struggle. The explanation that was given by that time was that African National Congress, the main party, the ruling party, is of two types. You have the domestic and you have the international. The domestic, that's the wing dealing with what transpired within South Africa. And we were made to understand that Nigeria was actually dealing with the international wing of the African National Congress. So those members of the international wing did understand, for instance, all the efforts of Nigeria. They knew quite well that Nigeria was a frontline state, but the people operating within did not know. Most unfortunately, the people in the international wing, they have been dying one by one, and they have not sufficiently educated the South Africans within, their members within, so that they can appreciate what the government and people of Nigeria had done. As a result of that.
Bob, I really do need to come in here, but a lot of people are saying that the government, the Nigerian government, has been more reactive than proactive to prevent some of these things from happening. So
you cannot be more correct. Of course, we have always been reacting. Xenophobic attacks, we responded. But what have we done to prevent that? Although both countries have reached an understanding in such a way to prevent further occurrences, but we still had one 2017. If you take the issue of slave trade in Libya, so during the time of Muammar Gaddafi, all right, when he was advocating United States of Africa, when he was championing the struggle, what was his strategy? He conceived of Libya under Muammar Gaddafi as president of Africa. He gave the defense ministry to Nigeria, to South Africa. He distributed the various portfolios. So you can now see the perception of Nigeria in the foreign policy calculation of Libya. Now, how have we been responding to that? Now, we have always been reacting. Whenever there is a case in question, we respond. But at the end of the day, have we always been responding promptly? No. At that level, I wouldn't say I feel comfortable with that. When you consider many other issues, for instance, let's look at the case of Morocco's application for membership of the ECOWAS. To a great extent, I think we should commend
The president?
Our president, Muhammad Buhari.
For being proactive in that regard.
In that case, not only that, he is on record to have actually queried, the approval in principle given to Morocco at the 51st ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Professor Bola Akinteriwa is the former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Thank you so much for coming on the News at 10.
Thank you.
The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is making some predictions and has details on business news.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Melinda, and welcome to Business News. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is forecasting a GDP growth of between 3 to 4% for Nigeria in 2018. In its Economic and Business Review in 2017 and the outlook for 2018, the Chamber acknowledges the improvement in the country's economy due to the increase in price of crude oil, an improvement in foreign reserves and steady inflation. LCCI sees oil prices hovering around $50 per barrel next year, and it projects the country's external reserve to hit the $40 billion mark. Headline inflation is expected to decline to 13%. To achieve this growth forecast, the Chamber suggests aggressive investments in infrastructure and reduction in multiplicity of exchange rates. An audit report released today by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative indicates that the country's oil and gas revenue plunged from $54.5 billion in 2014 to $24.8 billion in 2015. According to the report, the country's oil production fell from 798 million barrels in 2014 to 776 million barrels in 2015 due to oil theft and militancy. Nigeria suffered a 54.6% decline in oil revenue due to the drastic reduction in the price of crude oil on the global market. While the total outstanding revenue for the sector stands at $3.7 billion for 2015, and losses incurred stands at $2.2 billion, while unreconciled revenue amounts to 317 billion naira. Well, it's good ending for the Nigerian Stock Exchange today as the market managed to close the last trading day for 2017 above the 38,000 level. Let's join Emana Amawe for the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The Nigerian equities market closed the year with a positive sentiment, although the market value could not hit the 40,000 mark as anticipated by traders. Generally, the market performed beautifully in the year, emerging number 3 best performing exchange in the world after Argentina and Turkey. The closing gong was sounded at 12:30 p.m. by renowned actor and actress Olu Jacobs and Joke Silva. The index closed the day high at 0.66%. Traders say the market would have performed much better today but for Nigerian breweries and Dangote Cement, which dropped in price. In just 2,722 deals, investors put in almost 7 billion naira for 561.2 million shares. And even as 2017 wraps up, investors and traders hope for a brighter new year. And that's it on the Stock Market Report. I'm Emana Amawe. Happy New Year in advance.
Well, it's mixed sentiments for some leading global stock markets on the last trading day of 2017 as investors are looking ahead to what the coming year will bring. Let's see what the numbers are for today. That's business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Melinda.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp defends spending £75 million on defender Virgil van Dijk. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.